Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our homeroom. Today's episode is for all of you amazing moms that are out there because, from my experience and personally, and from what I've seen from all the ladies around me, the holidays can be a little bit stressful because a lot of the times it is our moms behind the scenes that are doing all of those little extra holiday burdens. So, for instance, like who all the people are that we need to buy presents for, what to buy each of those people because everybody's got their lists. Then wrapping the gifts, making sure we've got paper and gift tags and tape and ribbons. Then we go into the meal prep, right? So we've got to make sure we've got the list for the meal, and then we've got to prep the meal, make the meal, maybe some baking, get extra baking that we don't normally do. Don't forget Elf on the Shelf, that's also happening at this time of the year. Then there's also work party gifts. We've got to make sure we've got something for everyone at work. And then school, there's Spirit Week coordination, figuring out gifts for all the teachers. I mean, it just goes on. I'm sure there's other things that I've missed, but this time of the year tends to be really, really stressful. And a lot of that, unfortunately, falls on some of our really amazing but overworked moms. Maybe some really amazing and overworked dads too. So either way, if that feels like you, if you feel like this season just gets a little bit too stressful for you, then I have some help for you today. So we're going to talk about why it's important that we prioritize our own needs, what stress is actually telling us about our needs, and then two strategies. I've got two simple, practical strategies for you to do to help give yourself, alleviate that stress a little bit, give yourself some more joy this holiday season because life is short. The holidays should be amazing and fun and full of togetherness and family time, but it's really hard when we're stressed and overworked. So I want to give you some strategies to help make that a little bit better. So just a reminder, don't forget there is a free reference sheet, worksheet available for you. The links are below all of these, whether you're in the podcast or in YouTube. There's links below to that free worksheet because I do tend to talk fast. I've always been known as a fast talker. So if it's too much to just listen to, please make sure you pull out that reference sheet. That'll help a lot. Or you can watch me on YouTube if you're not already, because there I go through all of this podcast with slides up on the screen. So if you're a more visual learner, please make sure to check me out on YouTube, and those links are also below. Okay, so let's get into some solutions for handling holiday stress. So holiday stress, why is it so stressful for so many of us? And for me as a woman, and what I've heard from every other woman I know, is for decades, we have had this burden that we need to put everyone else's needs in the family ahead of our own. And I am here to tell you that absolutely we need to switch that way of thinking, that it is absolutely important that we prioritize our own needs first. Just like they say in the airplane, we've got to put our own oxygen mask on before we can help anyone else, because we need to be that healthy person before anyone around us is able to be healthy. That may mean that we need to say no. We may need to ask for help. We may need to disappoint others around us. And I know that that is hard and that that is uncomfortable, but it is still more important that we make sure we are managing our own needs, giving ourselves what we need, as much as, if not more, than the people around us, not only for our own health and the benefits of everyone around us, but also because it's a great way to model for our children what balanced parenting looks like. We don't want our children to grow up and think that parenting has to be a sacrifice all of the time. Yes, there's compromise involved and we work together, but there shouldn't be this view of parenting that is stressful and means mom is overworked, mom is never getting her needs met, because then that's not something I think anyone wants to grow up to be, right? So it's important we also can model for our children what balanced parenting really looks like, what it looks like to say no and to take care of your own needs too. So that is just something to keep in mind. We want to get to a place where we are saying to ourselves, it is okay that I meet my own needs first. Then I am better able to meet everyone's needs around me. So stress is a catch-all phrase that we use that is really just negative emotions. Negative emotions are clues to unmet needs. Always, always, always. If you are experiencing negative emotions, that is a clue that you have an unmet need. That is all that is. So that's why listening to our stress, listening to our negative emotions is super important. We do not want to ignore it. Our bodies or our minds are trying to communicate something to us through these negative emotions, through this stress. So instead of ignoring it, suppressing it, controlling it, numbing it, we want to make sure we pay attention to it. Our habit is to ignore, to suppress, to numb. Why? Often it is because the way we were raised as children was to suppress our negative emotions. Our parents often weren't comfortable with them themselves, so they tried to control or suppress your negative emotions when you were younger. So now as an adult, we're not used to how to manage those emotions, but really you want to get curious towards those emotions, not ignore them. And you don't want to numb them. That can cause a whole other issues too. If we're numbing with alcohol or food or overwork, those can also be a problem. So instead, you want to pay attention to those negative emotions. They are clues to unmet needs. And so if we ignore those, if we don't get those needs met, it's going to cause damage in two main areas. One is it damages your health. So stress, quote unquote, is the leading cause of diseases. Studies are showing that when we suppress our emotions, when we don't work through those negative emotions, eventually it does start to affect the physical body negatively. Gabor Mate is a great physician who has really written some amazing books that talk about the connection between our emotional selves and our physical selves and how certain suppressed emotions can cause certain physical ailments. So if you have not heard of him, I'm going to link him below. He's got some just excellent resources for you to check out. So we want to be careful because that negative emotion, if we suppress it, and keep it under, or if we're numbing with food or alcohol, we can also damage our health that way. So we want to make sure we're paying attention to that negative emotion so that we don't continue to damage our health. Another way that suppressing these negative emotions can cause problems is in our relationship. It can damage our relationships. Why? Because often when we're ignoring our needs and we're feeling negative emotion, it can cause resentment. Resentment, in my opinion, is probably the most insidious relationship killer because what happens is it builds up and it builds up and it seems mild, but it keeps building and it can get to the point where it causes such disconnection that it is almost impossible to reconnect and to get rid of all of those resentments. Gabor Mate actually calls resentment soul suicide. And then Dr. Brene Brown, if you have not heard of her, she also has done tons of research in emotions. And she has found that resentment is part of the jealousy family. Because what happens is we see other people meeting their needs or doing what they want when we're over here not doing what we want, being overworked, stressed, and everyone else seems to be fine. So that will cause resentment, which is a little bit kind of a form of jealousy. So when that resentment comes up, you want to stop and think to yourself, what need do I have that I'm afraid to ask for? What need am I not attending to in myself? Because usually always when there is resentment, that is the problem, according to Brene Brown. Okay, so we have all this stress. We don't want to damage our relationships. We don't want to damage our health. Then what can we do? Well, it can be uncomfortable because asking for our own needs, we're not used to that. We didn't see our moms do that. We didn't see our grandmas do that. So it is often new for many of us to be able to learn to take care of our own needs, prioritize ourselves first. But the discomfort of that, the discomfort of having to say no, the discomfort of trying to ask for help, the discomfort of taking a time out for yourself, that might be uncomfortable. But as Brene Brown says, discomfort is always a better choice over resentment. So you always want to choose that discomfort over choosing to feel the resentment. So how can we do that? Next, we're going to go into a couple strategies because I struggle with this too. I've always had a trouble asking for my own needs. I am a people pleaser. So it is really hard for me to prioritize myself. So over the years, I have found different ways to do that makes it a little easier. So I'm going to share those with you next. All right, let's get into how to meet your needs so that you can alleviate stress for yourself this holiday. So I go over a lot how to meet our children's needs, but today we're going to talk about how to use my system to meet your own needs. So anytime you find yourself feeling negative emotion or you are misbehaving in some way, maybe you're finding yourself with an unhealthy coping mechanism more during this holiday season. I know I'm sure wine sales skyrocket right around this time of the year. So if you find yourself doing things unhealthy, if you find yourself feeling more negative emotion, you're going to follow my 4 P's steps. They're a little bit different when they're for yourself, but it's kind of the same idea. If you're not sure what that is, make sure to go back to my episode 4, where I go into detail about the 4 P's and how to do that. But I'll give you a really kind of brief rundown. So the 4 P's, first is to pause. When you see that you're acting negative, having negative emotions, maybe acting in ways that aren't really healthy, you're going to pause, take a breath, admit to yourself that maybe you're being a little unhealthy or you're feeling a little stressed, and then start to get curious as to what those negative feelings are. What are the misbehaviors that you're doing? What are the negative feelings that are building up? And then from there, see if you can pinpoint what the missing need is. If you're just exhausted, it could be that you need to go to bed a little earlier tonight, right? If you are depleted because you're just doing too much, it may be to say no. It may be to ask for help, which we're going to get to today. But it is important that we pause, pay attention to our feelings. Those feelings are the clues to unmet needs. So once you pinpoint that unmet need, then you are going to find ways to satisfy that need. So with children, we say we're going to prescribe a momentary strategy that alleviates the need, or provide a strategy long-term that alleviates that need for good. And you're going to kind of do the same thing. What are some strategies you can apply to your life to help satisfy that need? So what I have found at this time of the year, at the holidays, usually holiday stress is because there's a boundary issue. You're not holding enough personal boundaries or getting enough help. It's usually a point where you are just overdoing everything and really need some help with some boundaries, which can be tricky. So I'm going to share some of my 2 best strategies for holding personal boundaries. And that is 1, saying no. I know it sounds simple, but not always, right? So saying no. And 2 is asking for help. Also seems simple, but sometimes can be kind of frustrating and hard to do. So I'm going to go over how to do both of these things. And I want to remind you again that it is important that we learn how to say no. We learn how to ask for help, not only for our own health, but also to model for our children that it is okay to sometimes say no, to recoup time, get some recoup time for ourselves, or to ask for help. If we do not model how to have healthy boundaries in our lives, what I've noticed as adults is we all grow up then, and we wait to set a boundary until we're really angry. Then we sound pretty mean and nasty, and we're yelling, and we're upset. Then it's not really delivered very well. So then we can get resistance from the other side. So it's really important we do these when our children are young, because then it shows them, oh, that's how to ask for help. Oh, it's okay to say no when I'm just stressed. So it teaches our children how to do that in healthy ways, rather than waiting until they're very to the limit, and then they're angry and pissed, and they're just saying things that end up kind of hurting their relationship. So saying no and asking for help. Let's go into these 2 strategies. I've got some specific ways to say these things so that it helps make it a little smoother, especially if you're more like me and you're more of a people pleaser, and doing these things can sometimes be a little bit challenging. So saying no. Saying no is not selfish, but it is necessary for everyone's well-being. Just wanting to say no is reason enough to say no. If you are finding that, oh my gosh, I just really can't go do this extra party on Thursday night, that I know it's my friend and she really means a lot to me, but if you're having the urge to say no, that is reason enough. We don't have to have 17 reasons why we can't go do the Thursday night party. It is okay that you just want to say no because you want to say no. That is your body telling you, it might be too much. Okay, so really get curious. If you're wanting to say no about something, chances are there's a good reason you're wanting to say no. Here are 3 really great ways to say no in a way that isn't just no, because that can be difficult. But there are ways to say no that really are a win-win for everyone. So my first way is validating emotions. It is okay to say no without having a reason that you need to explain to someone, even your children. Sometimes just saying no, especially to our really young ones, they might get upset and they might be disappointed, but it's okay to just validate those emotions, validate that upsetness without having to go into a whole diatribe about why. You can literally say, I'm so sorry that you're sad that we can't do blank. Would you like a hug? So many times, especially with our really young ones, that's really all they need, and then they move on. But they need that emotion validated. You don't have to go again into a really long story. You might say, I'm just so sorry that you're sad that we're not able to do that. Would you like a hug or a cuddle, or how else can I make you feel better about that? So validating emotions, that's the first way to say no. That's a nice, easy way to do that, easier way to do that. 2 is to offer an alternative. So sometimes we have some extended family members who like to be involved in the holidays and show up sometimes unannounced, or, want to be over at times when it's really a hectic time. So one way might be to say, I'd love to see you, but tonight, even if they show up at your door, tonight is really not going to work for us. How about Wednesday? How about next week instead? How about this weekend? So offer another alternative. This isn't going to work, but how about we do it here this other time instead, or this other place instead? I don't want to go to the park. It's too cold outside. What if we watch a movie instead? So just offering alternative is a great way to be able to say no to something that you really don't want to do or aren't comfortable with. The third thing is to connect and be honest. Again, the more authentic you can be with people when you are saying no, the better it is delivered. So you might say something to children or family members, I love my time with you so, so much, but I'm really, really tired tonight, and I'd rather go on another time or do something else that we can both enjoy. So that is an honest thing. You're being honest. This is not something you're going to enjoy right now because you are exhausted. So I would rather us do it when I am able to enjoy it so I can treasure this time with you more. So connecting with them, telling them how much you love them and you love spending time with them, but just right now is not the right time because it's just too much for you. So those are 3 ways to say no that soften it just a little bit, keep you connected with your relationships, but also be able to hold your own personal boundary when it's just not right for you. So those 3 again are to validate emotions, to offer an alternative, or to connect and be honest. Again, the more authentic you can be when delivering those no's, the better they'll be received. All right, asking for help. Second thing, again, it is not weak to ask for help. And I know that sounds silly, but so many of us feel like asking for help means we're giving up or we're admitting we can't do it all. We can't. It is a lot, especially this time of year. It is okay to ask for that help. Do not look at that as a bad thing. And again, trust yourself. If you are feeling like you need to ask for help, if you're having the urge to do that, chances are that's reason enough to do that. What I have found over the years is that our people want to help us when we approach them in a vulnerable and I am stuck and I am stressed and I am struggling way. So when we can approach our family in a really good vulnerable way, asking for help, they always want to jump at a chance. They don't want a stressed out you either. So really, as long as you can really take the time to ask for help, chances are they're going to want to help you. How can we do this then in a way that is the most beneficial, that will get the better response from everyone? So here are 3 tips for asking for help within our family that can be delivered in a way that they're receiving well, and then you'll actually get the help that you need. The first thing is to find a calm moment, not when you're mad and upset. That's not the best time to go and try to ask for help. So if you find yourself mad, that's fine. Calm yourself down, take a shower, do some journaling, whatever, to try to bring your emotions down and find a calm moment to ask to talk to everybody. Maybe it's even at dinner when you're not upset, and to let them know that you are really struggling with this problem. You're really needing some help. And can we please work together to brainstorm some solutions? So again, looking at it like, we're going to solve this problem. I am having a problem. I really could use your help. Coming from that nice, authentic place where you're vulnerable and admitting that you're just stressed and really need some help. Then you want to create in your mind an us, the family, versus the problem mindset. So you want to be a team with your family against the problem. The problem is the problem, not family. If you can get in that mindset, you're going to deliver your information so much more clearly, and you're going to share your feelings, and you want to share how stressed you are, and you might want to vent how you just feel like you have so much to do and it's all building up. But then you're coming, how can we solve this problem? What are your ideas? Is there any way you guys can help? What I have always seen with my students in my class, when I have ever gone to them with a problem like that, they jump at the chance to solve it. Oh, we could try this or we could try that, because they love you. They want the best for you. So a lot of times the kids have some of the best solutions, or they'll jump in and offer to do some things. So just ask, how can you guys help? Instead of you may already have ideas for how they can help. You may want to delegate and tell them what to do, but it is so much more effective if you can ask, how can you help? Is there something that you can do you think that could alleviate some of this burden for me? And I would so much appreciate it. After you have the conversation, everybody gives some solutions. You kind of say, you know what, I love this solution. Let's try that. The whole idea is just try it for a week. Even if the solution you don't think will work, but you're willing to give it a shot, try it for a week, get everybody on board. Let's try that for a week. I think I'll feel better if I don't have to make sure I'm not doing everybody's laundry this week, or I'm not cooking dinner this week, or that might alleviate some stress. Whatever those solutions are, try it for a week, see how that goes. And then you're going to end that meeting, end that session. Thank you. Let me have a hug. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm really looking forward to getting your help. It's going to mean so much to me. It's really going to help out. So you want to end with something positive. You could either even give like compliments to each other, or, make some jokes, or end with having some fun treat or whatever. So just want to make sure you're ending that session really positively too. And then that leaves everybody kind of looking forward to helping out. It makes it a positive thing. All right. So if hopefully by now you're to the point where you're agreeing that yes, it is important to get your own needs met, and yes, it's important to alleviate that stress at the holidays. Let me just point out one good point of perspective here that I tend to take often when I find myself getting stressed. We only have 18 holiday seasons with our children at home with us for our whole life. That is it. And maybe 9 or 10 of those are the only ones that really have that magic, right? When the magic is really, really alive. So if all it takes is saying no or asking for help during this time, even if that's a little uncomfortable, if that's all it takes so that you can enjoy the holiday season more, it is absolutely worth it. We have a few short years with our kids, and don't we want to make those enjoyable for ourselves too? It's important that the holidays isn't just fun for the kids. They want to see you having fun too, and you want to have fun. You do not want to 20 years down the road look back and regret these times when all it took was saying no to something, handling a little discomfort with the disappointment, or asking for help and being a little uncomfortable with having to ask for help. That is so much better for us than it is to have that regret or to build up resentment that ends up causing and damaging our relationship. Okay? All right, so keep that in mind. It's really important that we try to find time this holiday season so we can really enjoy it. As always, the last part of each podcast, I have some homework for you. Again, these are only just 4 questions to really start getting you thinking about the strategies and how to apply them in your own life. So number one, if you are feeling stressed, what is the hidden message? If you aren't sure, ask it and see what comes up. And I literally mean ask it like it's its own part. It's a separate part from you. Ask it, why are you stressed? Why are you feeling these negative emotions? And often you might hear an answer and you might get a little more clarity on where that negative emotion is coming from. Because again, you want to pay attention to that negative emotion so you can find out what it is that you're missing, what need it is that you are missing. Number two, take time to own that you deserve to not feel stressed. You deserve to enjoy this holiday season too. Feel that truth and trust that there is a solution that will alleviate your stress. All it is figuring out what that need is and meeting that need. That I know sounds very simple. It may be complex because meeting that need may involve things that make you uncomfortable. But if you can at least start paying attention to what need it is you are missing, then you can try to find ways to start alleviating that, satisfying that need for yourself. Number three, if saying no and asking for help feels uncomfortable, imagine not doing it. So take a minute and go, oh yeah, when I think of asking for help, that really feels uncomfortable. When I think of saying no to that, that really feels uncomfortable. Think of not doing it. And whatever it is, instead of saying no, doing the thing you don't want to do. Instead of asking for help, continuing to do all the things that are on your to-do list. How does that feel? And which one feels worse? Which one might feel better? So what's better or worse for your health or your relationship? Really imagine not saying no or saying no, asking for help or not asking for help, and see if you can feel out which one feels better. There might be a time when saying no doesn't work. It is better to just do whatever the thing is. But if you can feel out which one feels better, most of the time, the uncomfortable feeling that comes for asking for help or saying no is better than the resentment or bitterness or anger that might come up if you don't. All right, number four, the last one. If finding time for yourself during the holidays is impossible, if you're just not able to not only say no and ask for help, but you can't get away, you're not ever finding time for yourself, it is really important that we become our own best champions. You may not be hearing how wonderful of a job it is that you are doing during the holidays. You have to become your biggest cheerleader. Asking for your family to help give you compliments too doesn't hurt. I've done that before too. I've sat at dinner and say, can you guys tell me, you're my people, can you tell me some compliments tonight because I'm really feeling down. I'm feeling like I can't keep up. But if you can't get that from your family or you can't get some time to yourself to recoup, please make sure you are feeding yourself encouraging words. You're congratulating yourself on your hard work, because it is a hard time this season and you are doing a good job. I am telling you right now, if you are a parent that is organizing all of this for the holiday season, you deserve congratulations because it is hard. It's a lot of work and you're doing it. All right, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I was able to offer a few strategies for you to help with this holiday season. Please reach out with any questions or comments, or if you request some other strategies with certain needs that you can identify but would love some strategies to help, please email me and I will put together those for a future episode. We will have another episode coming in 2 weeks, so please make sure that you have liked or subscribed or followed, and please share with as many parents as you can. I want to get this information out. If you find it helpful and you know other people will find it helpful, please share. And all right, that's it for the week. Please enjoy the beginning of this month, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks.